Quick test. Next time your brain just will not shut up. Look, don't argue with it. I mean it. Don't even try. Just ask it one boring little question. What is this? In one word, that's it. That's the whole opening move. And I know how almost insultingly small that sounds. Honestly, trust me, I felt the exact same way the first time I read about it. One word. Against a brain that can keep me awake, replaying a text I sent in 2019. Come on, that's like bringing a single index card to a knife fight, but stick with me here, because there's a real reason that tiny question lands harder than a whole hour of, okay, let's really think this through. And it has to do with what your brain is actually doing when it spirals, which, spoiler, is not thinking, not really. It just feels like thinking. It's wearing thinking's jacket, same outfit, completely different guy underneath. So tonight, instead of wrestling the thing to the ground, we're just gonna learn to quietly disarm it. One word, one strange little breath, one 90-second reset I'm going to hand you by the end of this. Let's open up the hood. So here's what we're figuring out together today. Why just stop overthinking is basically the worst advice ever handed to an overthinker, and why it actually makes the loop louder instead of quieter. What's really happening inside your head when your mind grabs the same worry and runs laps with it at midnight, and then the actual tool, the thing you came for. A 3-step reset you can run in about 90 seconds, anywhere, with nobody even noticing, no app to download, and no cushion to sit cross-legged on. If you've ever lost a perfectly good night of sleep to a thought you didn't even invite in, friend, this one's for you. Stay with me. Okay, let's start with the advice everybody hands out and nobody can actually use. Just stop thinking about it. Just relax. Why don't you? Cool. Great. Super helpful. Let me get right on that. Thanks. Here's the actual problem with just stop. A thought is not a light switch you can flip off by simply deciding to try this with me real quick. For the next 10 seconds, do not picture a pink elephant. Whatever you do, no pink elephants in there. Yeah, there he is. Big guy, wearing a little party hat, probably just standing there, kind of judging you. And that's the whole trap. Right there in one dumb cartoon. The act of pushing a thought away forces you to hold the thought up first, so you know which one you're supposed to be pushing. So when you tell an anxious brain, hey, stop thinking about the thing, you've just quietly made it check, wait, am I thinking about the thing? And boom, now you're thinking about the thing. You handed the spiral a fresh log and basically called it firefighting. It's the same deal as someone leaning over and going, hey, whatever you do, don't think about how your tongue is just sitting there in your mouth right now. Too late, right? You feel it? You're suddenly aware of your own tongue, and now you can't unfeel the thing for, 30 seconds. That's not a willpower failure on your part, by the way. That's just how attention works. It runs straight toward whatever you try to point it away from. And honestly, I think this is the exact reason so many people quietly decide they must be just broken somehow. They tried the off switch everyone swears by. It didn't work, not even a little. So they figured the problem had to be them, but it's not you. The switch was a myth. Nobody ever handed you the actual instructions. So, of course it didn't work. So here's what's really going on up here. And once you actually see it, you kind of can't unsee it again. When you finally lie down at night and do nothing, your brain does not go quiet, not even close. It flips over into a sort of idle mode, a whole network that switches on the second you stop giving your attention an actual job to do. Scientists have a proper name for it, the default mode network, but you can honestly just picture it as the brain's screensaver. And for a lot of us, look, that screensaver is not soothing little fish drifting around a tank. It's a highlight reel of every single thing you've ever gotten wrong, remastered in stunning 4K, with full director's commentary you never asked for. That's the cruel little joke buried inside just relax. The second you go idle, you basically hand the microphone straight over to the part of your brain that lives to replay the worst stuff on a loop. You didn't relax at all. You kind of scheduled a private screening. Now here's the part that actually starts to help. Researchers like Matthew Lieberman over at UCLA ran brain scans on people while they looked at upsetting images, and they found something kind of beautiful. Honestly, when you put the feeling into words, when you actually stop and label it, the brain's alarm center, the amygdala, quiets right down, and a different region, the bit just behind your forehead that handles thinking in words, that part lights up instead. In plain terms, naming a feeling sort of moves it out of the screaming animal part of your brain and into the calm, verbal, grown-up part. The word is a hallway. It just quietly walks the panic from one room into another, which is exactly why arguing with the spiral keeps you stuck in it. But naming it actually loosens the grip. See, you've been trying to think a part of your brain that doesn't even speak in thoughts. It only speaks in alarm. So you've got to answer it in its own currency first. One word: anxious, embarrassed, scared. That is not avoidance, by the way. Personally, I think it might be the single most underrated skill nobody ever bothered to teach us back in school. And here's a little nuance that genuinely matters. The word has to be kind of specific to do its real work. Bad doesn't quite cut it. Bad is too vague. It's a big fuzzy blanket thrown over everything, but left out, or embarrassed, or honestly kind of scared this won't work. That's more like a scalpel. The more precise you get with the word, the more of that alarm you actually manage to talk down. So get a little specific in there. Your brain, it's listening closer than you think. So let's actually build the tool. I call it the Spud Reset. Partly because I needed something to call it, and partly because, look, I'm a potato with a brain stapled on top of my head. So I figure I'm allowed exactly one branded move in this life. This is the one. The whole thing leans on an idea from a neuroscientist named Jill Bolte Taylor. She points out that the chemical part of an emotion, the actual physical surge that floods your body when something hits you, runs its full course in roughly 90 seconds. 90 seconds. After that, the chemistry has mostly cleared itself out, and anything you still feel past that point, that, my friend, is the loop refilling the cup. That's you, replaying the thought, pouring yourself a fresh round you didn't need. Now, I want to be straight with you here, because this is a science channel and not a fortune cookie. That 90-second number is more of a useful rule of thumb than some hard stopwatch law. Some feelings, real grief, real loss, those take exactly as long as they take, and they absolutely should. We don't rush those, but for the everyday, garden variety midnight spiral, the principle really does hold up. The surge is short, the suffering is mostly the rerun, and the Spud Reset is, honestly, just a clever way to not hit play on that rerun again. 3 steps, that's genuinely it. You can run the whole thing sitting at a red light, and the person in the car next to you would never have a clue. Step 1, name it. One word. The second you notice the spiral starting up, don't explain it. Don't sit there writing the whole essay about it. Just label the feeling sitting underneath all that noise. Okay, this is anxiety. This is shame. This is, jealousy. Gross. Okay, noted. Moving on. You're not solving anything yet. To be clear, you're just walking the feeling into the verbal room so the alarm starts to turn itself down. One quiet little word does more work right here than 1,000 loud ones ever could. Step 2. Take one strange breath. Not a big, dramatic yoga breath. A really specific one. 2 quick sips of air in through your nose. The second sip just a little top off. And then one long, slow exhale out through your mouth, like you're gently fogging up a cold window. That double inhale and long exhale thing isn't woo, by the way, I promise. It's a wiring thing. The long exhale flips on the calming branch of your nervous system, the part that gently slows your heart rate back down. And here's the wild bit. Your body has actually been doing this exact thing on its own, your entire life. It's the precise shape of a sigh of relief. We're just choosing to do it on purpose now. Step 3, give your attention an actual job. Remember, the spiral feeds on idle. It's a screensaver, right? So you starve it by handing your focus something real and physical. Right now, in the room with you. Name 5 things you can see. Press your feet flat into the floor and actually feel the floor pressing back up. Hold something cold for a second. I know. It sounds almost too simple to even count as a technique. But you're not trying to win some clever philosophical debate against your own brain here. You're just calmly changing the channel it's allowed to broadcast on. Name it, breathe it, anchor it. 90 seconds, give or take a few. That's the entire reset, start to finish. So why on earth does this dinky little 3-step thing beat a whole hour of thinking it through properly? Because each single step is quietly pulling a real physical lever in there. Naming it turns down the alarm, like we just covered. That's the labeling effect doing its quiet work in the background. The strange breath physically dials your body out of red alert, so you're not stuck trying to reason with a racing heart, which, by the way, is a losing game every single time you attempt it. And the anchor pulls your attention off the screensaver and back into the actual physical world, which is the one place the spiral genuinely cannot follow you. Because the spiral only lives in replay and memory. It does not live in the cold glass sitting in your hand. You're not fighting the brain anymore. That's the whole shift, honestly. And it's kind of the entire point of everything I try to do. Around here, you stop trying to overpower a flood with raw willpower, and instead you just, calmly opened up a couple of drains. The water was always going to pass on its own in 90 seconds anyway. You just finally stopped standing there, frantically throwing buckets of it back in. And here's the gentle, genuinely true thing sitting underneath all of this. A brain that spirals like yours does is not a defective brain. It's almost always a brain that learned, somewhere way back there, that staying alert kept you safe, that replaying the mistake on a loop meant you'd never go and make it twice. It has been pulling overtime, trying to protect you this whole time, mostly without a single thank you. It's just running an old strategy that costs way more than it pays out these days. You don't need to fix it. You just need to give it a better job to do. And tonight, for once, you've actually got one to hand it. Think about it like this. Somewhere back there was a younger version of you who figured out that if they just stayed 3 steps ahead of everything, scanned every face, rehearsed every conversation twice, then nothing could sneak up and hurt them. And honestly, it kind of worked for a while. That's why your brain still does it. It's loyal. It's just running really old code on a situation that doesn't even need it anymore. And one real, sincere thing before we wrap this up. If the spiral isn't just a rough night here and there, but a steady, heavy weight that's been parked on your chest for weeks now, please don't try to white-knuckle it alone with one breathing trick from a potato. A reset like this can take the edge off. Sure, but it can't do the job an actual person can. A good friend or a real therapist. There's genuinely zero shame in reaching for that kind of help. None at all. So that's the reset. Name it, breathe it, anchor it. Sounds boring on paper, weirdly powerful at 2 a.m. Try it just once today. That's the entire challenge. That's all I'm asking. Wait for the next dumb little spike of stress. The text that just says, hey, we need to talk. The cringe memory that ambushes you in the shower out of nowhere. And just run the 3 steps. Once. See what actually happens. You really don't have to believe a word. I say on this, your own nervous system will tell you the truth. And look, if something in here clicked into place for you tonight, do me one tiny favor on your way out. Send this to the one person in your life whose brain you already know never, ever shuts off. You know exactly who I mean. They've probably been quietly calling themselves too much, or honestly, kind of crazy, for years now, when really they just never got handed the off switch that does, in fact, exist. Be the one who finally hands it over. And tell me down in the comments which step you're actually going to try first. The name, the breath, or the anchor. I read every single one of them. I really do. Now hey, go be a little gentler with that loud, overworked, gorgeous brain of yours tonight. Okay, it's been trying so unbelievably hard for you. Stay curious. You brilliant Spud. I'm Spud, and I'll see you in the next one.